Krishna, Radhe Radhe. I hope all of you are doing well. Today I am back with another video where we are going to do shloka number 26. But before that, I had promised you guys that I'm going to tell you about what is infinitesimal, and at the same time, we'll also discuss about what are the four pillars of dharma. So infinitesimal is actually 1 by infinite, which comes down to a very negligible amount, and it comes down to 0. So almost 0, not exactly 0, almost 0. So uh, that is what is the soul compared to. It is almost shunya, whereas the supreme soul is infinite, cannot be measured. And the four pillars of dharma, one of it is daya, that is compassion. One of it is saucha, that is purity, both external and internal, in terms of also your mind and not just your body. And then comes tapas, that is self-discipline. And the most important, that is truth, that is satya. So in Kali Yuga, truth just only the truth part is remaining. Rest three of the pillars are gone. So this is what happens by the end of each yuga. One of the pillars is gone, and the world leads towards darkness. Whereas right now you'll see that gradually everyone is moving more towards the light. There is one part of the world that is ending, and the other new part of the world that is beginning. And if you are a sensitive soul, you can already see what's happening in terms of transformation. So you will see that people are awakening again to the Gyan. They are connecting to the root lifestyle, that is the Sanatan lifestyle and the Vedic lifestyle, knowing that this is the most balanced way of lifestyle for all living organisms on earth, and living as in coexisting together in cooperation is much more better than competing out of greed with each other or out of jealousy. All those things are a part of the Kali Yuga, whereas the New Age, the Satyug, is where each individual soul is awakening to its own truth. They're awakening to their own healing. And and that's enough for right now, as we'll deviate from the topic. Let's get started with shloka 26. But yes, you will notice this if you are someone who is very observant and spiritually sensitive. It's not for everyone who will be able to understand this. So let's get started. Shloka number 26 starts like अथ चैनं नित्याजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं सोचितम् अर्हसि. Which means, if, however, you think that the soul is perpetually born and always dies, still you have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. There is always a class of philosophers, almost akin to the Buddhists, who do not believe in the separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed, and they were known as the Lokayatikas and Vaibhasikas. The philosophers maintained that life, symptoms, or soul takes place at a certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage, the life symptoms develop by interaction of the physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo-religions now becoming fashionable in America are also adhering to this philosophy, as well as to the nihilistic, non-devotional Buddhist sects. Buddhist sects. Okay, even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of the soul, as in the Vaibhashika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for laments, as in lamentation. No one laments the loss of a certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his prescribed duty. This is what Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to the Vaibhashika philosophy, the so called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So, in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul, or whether he did not believe in the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of a matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there's no need to grieve for such an incident. However, since he was not risking rebirth of the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being affected with sinful reactions due to his killing his grandfather and teacher. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabahu, mighty armed, because he at least did not accept the theory of Vaibhashikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. That is, he came from the Aryas, and that's why most of them had such a lifestyle where they had Vedic wisdom. They had complete wisdom, basically, not just material wisdom but also spiritual wisdom. So, together they form the complete wisdom. Whereas most of certain religions only have the material wisdom, but in terms of the spiritual wisdom, they're lacking. And that is why it's very important to have complete knowledge and complete wisdom of life and of soul and of God and how they are connected. So once someone understands the Vedas, they see that it's all actually scientific and it's all how life functions on earth, all sorts of life forms, and how the earth system and everything in the universe functions, from physics to astrophysics to biology. Everything else is already included there and it is a part of it. But along with that, the spiritual side of biology also exists, where in the modern science, the spiritual part of biology does not exist. It is only about material side, so it is half knowledge, and that is why the Vedic scientists are totally against the modern science, because it only covers half of the knowledge and not complete knowledge. And it cannot cover complete knowledge because that is also coming from a place of an individual person's perspective, not an ultimate truth. Vedic wisdom has been given down to earth by God, and hence you will see that. Let me just give you an example. For example, Lord Vishnu came in as an avatar of a doctor, right? Or you can say someone who helps in the healing and curing of the bodies in the form of Dhanvantari, and he gave in the wisdom of Ayurveda. So everything is curable as per Ayurveda, and he gave down the wisdom to all the acharyas and rishis who were the doctors, the Vedic doctors of that time, and they had written it down in so many different Vedas out of the 4 Vedas that we have. And all those knowledge over the period of time either was taken away by the colonials, or it was taken away, or it was burned down by the Mughals, or it was also misplaced, or it lost its meaning, because it didn't lose its meaning. People no longer knew Sanskrit to be able to understand the meaning of those texts, so they were not able to use it and understand it. Because until the Gurukul system was there was Sanskrit in school as the medium of knowledge and the medium of language. But when Sanskrit was taken away, it was like our cultural root was taken away, and that also led to a gap between understanding the real knowledge that come from our Vedas, and those were written in Sanskrit. They were passed down in Sanskrit, because Sanskrit is a Deva language. It is the language of the gods. Okay, so let's come down to the shloka. Here they say that even if you think soul is born, it still dies. Still, you have nothing to lament. The Buddhists believe the soul doesn't exist beyond bodies, and this is what the Lokayatikas or the Vaibhasikas believe, that most of the life form, it is material in nature, like most material scientists and philosophers think. They don't think that the soul exists. And according to them, body is alive due to some physical or chemical reactions or elements happening inside the body. For example, in biology, death is described as when your organs stop functioning, or when your heart stops functioning, then the body is declared to be dead. But why does it stop functioning is not something that they can answer yet, which Vedic science can answer, right? And at the same time, what is interesting is, if the modern science is so advanced and they've come up with, all these operations where they can transplant a lot of things, then they can transplant all these organs, and get a new one and put it there, just to make sure that the life can come back, if that is the sort of definition that they've given of life. Even after they do that, it won't come back, and hence that is the reason why Vedas say that souls exist, and it is the soul that is giving life and consciousness to the body, and the body is just its cover, or more like a home, you can say. So the anthropology based are also based on this same theory, and also the pseudo religions and the nihilistic people, they believe the same, and most of it comes from America also. Now Vaibhashikas, they're the Vaibhashikas, that's what they have mentioned here. Even if Arjuna didn't believe in the idea of souls, in the truth of souls, still no cause of lamentation was there. That is what Sri Krishna is saying, because it will only be a loss of certain bulk of chemicals which are born and that will die in a regular basis. But modern science also does so much of chemical waste just to attain victory, where there is no base of dharma there. Violence done without the purpose of dharma is wrong. That's what the Vedas say. So the soul leaves body when body deteriorates. Also, keeping in mind, violence done to satisfy ego is also wrong as per the Vedas. So here Arjuna was not risking rebirth of soul, and he would not be having any sinful reaction if he went ahead and fought. That's what Shri Krishna is telling. So Krishna called him, as in Arjuna, Mahabahu and a Kshatriya, because he believed in the Vedic culture that he came from, and this is what Shri Krishna says, that do your duty. Your work is only to do the duty, not to worry about all these things. If I have told you, I have guided you towards certain step, then that's it. That's the right step. Don't worry about it, because I'm the Supreme Lord myself. Why will I take you to any wrong steps? So that's about it for today. Tomorrow we are going to do shloka number 27. Until then, take care of yourself, keep doing the Nam Jap, and Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.